Greetings, this is David Daoud of Compliance Standards. Today is the 3rd of December 2025. Last week, both Dell and HP described once again the front end of a multi-year hardware cycle that's going to eventually clearly flow straight into the end-of-life ecosystem. Now, on the one side, Dell is leaning very hard into AI data center infrastructure and into dense servers. On the other side, HP, specifically HP Inc., by the way, is managing a mature PC and print business through AI PCs, subscriptions, and aggressive cost programs in the face of rising memory prices. Now, both of these companies are telling investors that refresh and modernization will run for years, not quarters, and that obviously is very important. Dell's message is that the infrastructure build-out is very much underway. In fact, it just reported last week double-digit revenue and earning growth on the back of massive AI server demand and strong traditional servers and storage. Now listen to this. Management highlighted more than $12 billion of AI server orders in a single quarter, as well as a record AI backlog and guidance to ship roughly $25 billion. Yes, $25 billion of AI servers this year, which would be more than 1.5 times last year. Now, at the same time, they acknowledged that around 70% of existing server installed base is still on older generations, and that a very large share of PCs out in the world either haven't moved to Windows 11 yet or can't run it at all because of age or specs. Now, that combination signals a long modernization and consolidation cycle. That means new, denser GPU-rich, memory-heavy racks are going in, older servers and arrays are being pushed to the side, and will eventually have to be de-racked, wiped, and taken off the books. On the client side, the Windows 11 transition is slow, policy-driven push across regions and segments rather than a one-off upgrade wave, as some suggested in the beginning. Now, HP's story is less explosive, but no less relevant. It is operating in clearly a mature PC and print market where overall revenue, as reported, is growing but modestly. Personal systems is up and print is shrinking. So margins are being compressed by trade-related costs and what management describes as an unprecedented spike in memory prices. Yet HP is already at a point where more than 30% of its PC shipments are AI PCs, and it expects that mix to rise towards 40 to 50% next year. It estimates that about 40% of PC installed base is still on Windows 10, with the remaining opportunity essentially concentrated in SMB and in Europe and Asia from a geographical standpoint. What does that mean? Well, that implies a continued staggered refresh cycle built around OS support, built around security, and of course, the perceived value of AI at the endpoint. Now, on the print side, traditional consumer and office hardware is declining, but there is some good news, which in this case is subscriptions like instant ink and industrial and 3D printing are showing signs of growth. HP is also layering another AI-enabled cost program targeting $1 billion in savings and several thousand job cuts over the next few years. Now, the purpose here is to protect profitability while it rides out memory inflation. So when you look at those two narratives through an end-of-life lens, a few things come to mind and stand out. First, the OEMs are not setting you up for a short, sharp spike in disposals. They're telegraphing long, staggered refresh and retirement cycles in both data center and client hardware. What this means essentially is that gives you a multi-year runway of server storage, PCs, print devices that will be coming out of production in essentially waves tied to AI buildouts, Windows 11 deadlines, contract expirations, and of course, cost management initiatives. Secondly, the assets themselves are getting more complicated and, of course, more valuable. Dell's AI and high-density servers carry far more DRAM, NAND, GPU, and advanced controllers than the systems that they've replaced. HP's AI PCs, premium notebooks, workstations, industrial printers, and 3D platforms embed more sophisticated silicon and obviously carry more persistent data. And that is good for recovery economics if you have, of course, strong harvesting and remarketing capability, but it also raises the bar on secure data destruction, on documentation, and of course, on environmental compliance. Now, thirdly, both companies are flagging memory and to a lesser extent, storage as tight and getting more expensive. Historically, that kind of component environment supports better pricing for recovered modules and for high-grade scrap, which you can take advantage of if you can test and certify parts in ways that are, of course, reliable. But memory and storage are cyclical, so that tailwind should be treated as an opportunity window, not a planning baseline. Finally, HP in particular is pushing deeper into subscriptions and device as a service, while obviously Dell leans on its direct go-to-market and on its financing capabilities. Over time, that means more fleets governed by contracts and governed by SLAs. And for you, if you are an end-of-life specialist, that translates into more programmatic, partnership-driven work with OEMs, but also with the channels and with large enterprises, but also into tighter expectations around service levels, around compliance and customer reporting. So in short, Dell is building out AI infrastructure on top of a still old installed base. HP is reshaping a mature PC and its print franchise around AI PCs, subscriptions, and cost discipline, and both are quietly committing to years of refresh retirements. Your challenge, and of course your opportunity, is to turn that into secure, compliant, profitable end-of-life outcomes for increasingly complex, valuable hardware, of course. Until our next talk, thank you and goodbye.